What's up? My name's Andrew Fisher, and I'm going to show you the most effective noise reduction technique using Adobe Audition. Let's jump right in. First, I'm going to copy this file. I want two versions of this. I've got the original here. I've got the copy here. What we're going to do is use the noise reduction tool in Adobe, but instead of removing the noise, we're going to have a file where we leave all the noise. So let's open up that tool. And I've already captured a noise print, but we're going to play this back and see what it's pulling out. And I've got output noise only selected, so that's what we're going to hear. We're going to hear the noise. Let's toggle this. Okay, it's not pulling out quite enough. Let's expand this transition width a little bit.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream, make him the cutest.
So I play around with these settings until I get something that sounds like it's pulling out all of the noise. Now, obviously, it's pulling out more than just noise. It's pulling out some of the original song, but that's okay because we're going to fix that in the next step. So once I get it where I want it, where it's pulling out all of the noise and not leaving any noise, that's the important part.
That I've ever seen. Into lips like roses and clover. Then tell him that his lonesome nights are.
All right, we're there. Now I'm going to output noise only and hit apply. And again, what that's going to do is it's going to leave all the noise and it's going to strip out the original song. So hit apply. Now we've got one very noisy file and we've got one that's the original. Now comes the tedious part. What we're going to do is use this spectral frequency display to zoom in here and go frequency range by frequency range. Just select one little range like this. And using the dynamics processor up here, amplitude and compression, dynamics processing right there, we're going to compress down or squash down basically all of the original song. So all we're left with is the sort of the bass noise level. So anything that is louder than that noise level within that range, we're going to squash that down. So let's see what that would look like here. Hit apply on this little range here. All right, that looks pretty good. And I've got a keyboard shortcut set for this dynamics processing window, which you're definitely going to need for this technique. Because what we're going to do is work our way up the entire file, work our way up this frequency range. This can take a long time depending on how small of a range you're working with. As I zoom out here, you see that range that I'm working with is very, very tiny. So depending on how small that range is, and really the smaller the better, because you're getting more fidelity the smaller you go. But as we go, we're going to roll up this frequency spectrum and squash down anything that's louder than the bass noise floor. And at the end of that, what we're going to end up with is one file that's just noise and none of the original song left in it, and one file that's got, well, one that's the original with the original noise still in it. We're going to take that noise file, invert it, stack it on top of the original, and then play them back. And that's going to effectively cancel out the noise. So this is a long process. It'll take me probably an hour of, as I go up this frequency range. So let's kind of fast forward through that so you don't have to watch, and then we'll get to the end and you can see how it all comes together. One thing that I want to mention is you may need to change the spectral resolution. I have a keyboard shortcut set up for that also because I change this resolution quite a bit. Let me show you what that looks like if you're unfamiliar. It's in here in your preferences down here on spectral display. You can change the spectral resolution here. There's no perfect resolution. It's going to change a lot based on the audio that you're working with and where on the spectral frequency display or where on the frequency range you're working with. Typically, I find that when I'm toward the lower frequencies, I want to be in the higher resolution. And when I'm in the higher frequencies, I want to be in lower resolution. That depends on a lot of factors, but you may want to set up a keyboard shortcut for both the dynamics processor and for the spectral display page right here so that you can change that resolution as often as you need to. So every so often, I will stop what I'm doing and go back and listen to what I've got so far. I just want to make sure as I'm listening back to what I've got so far that I can't hear what the original song is. I only want to be able to hear just the music, or sorry, just the noise. And you do need to make sure that in your spectral display settings, you're only playing back the selected frequencies. So make sure this is selected play only selected frequencies when a spectral frequency selection exists. So make sure that that's selected. And this part you do need to listen back to and just, every so often, just be checking to make sure that you're not leaving too much there. Because again, this is the noise that we're going to remove eventually. So you just want to be left with noise here. And in these higher frequencies that I haven't gotten to yet, there's still too much left in there. There's more than just noise. There's also some of the original music. So as I'm going, I just want to keep checking every so often and make sure that I'm not pulling out too much. Or that I'm not leaving too much. One of the two. Okay, if you thought that was tedious, this is the second time that I've done this for this piece of audio. Because the first time, I didn't record it. Dumb me. Anyway. All right, so now we've got a sample of the noise, and we've got the original file. Let me go ahead and play this noise back. The important thing to listen for is, can I hear what the original audio was? Now, I am hearing some of the original audio, but I can't tell what any of the voices are saying. I would not be able to pick out what song this was if I was just listening back to this and didn't know. So, yes, I am pulling out. If I were to go ahead and pull out all of this noise from the original audio, which I am going to do, I am pulling out a little bit more than I should, because I can hear, I can hear some of the beats, but the end effect of this is that we're actually probably going to end up with a cleaner sound than the original audio had, because some of this noise is going to be noise that was sort of like vibrations in the microphones and the equipment that this was recorded on. And the way that I can say that is because even though I can hear some of the original instrumentation in this noise, I cannot hear any of the voice, the vocals. And so because your ears tune very well to hearing vocals, because you're human, you're going to be able to pick out vocals much better, in much better fidelity than you can most other sounds. And so if you can't hear the vocals in this noise, odds are you're doing a pretty good job of getting just the noise. So the fact that I can hear some of the instrumentation really only tells me that that instrumentation probably wasn't recorded super well. Some of the equipment that it was recorded on probably had some noise in it. So let's invert this noise sample. Go up here to Effects, Invert, and we're going to add both the original here and that noise sample to a multi-track. So let's go over here, insert to new multi-track. Sure, that's fine. And we're going to play these over the top of each other. So first, let's just play the original. And now let's play both. It's awesome.
Mr. Sandman.
Now, you may not want something that's pulling out all of the noise, because the effect of that is that it sounds a little too processed. Typically what I'll do when I get to this point is I'll mix this down, and then I'll go through and I'll clean up the audio more, take out any clicks and pops, mouth noises. I can see them a lot better in the spectral frequency display now that the noise is gone. So let me show you what that looks like here. You can see between the harmonics a lot better. So I might do some more processing on this. And then what I'll do is I'll go and mix it back with the original, and bring back some of that noise so that it sounds a little bit more natural, because this just sounds a little too processed. It's not that it's processed. I mean, it is, but that's it just sounds that way to our ear because we're not used to hearing something with no noise in it. Typically, whenever we hear music, it's got some noise. And so hearing it without any noise at all just sounds a little bit weird. We can do one thing which is a little bit gimmicky, which is go over here to effects and generate some noise. So let's do that. Sure. And then bring this noise amplitude down really far. And it already sounds better to our ear, at least to mine. And that's just, like I said, we're just not used to hearing something with no noise in it. You want to play around with that a little bit, though, because if the point of this exercise was to remove noise, obviously you're going to have a hard time going back and adding noise back in. But you kind of have to if you want to sound natural. So anyway, thanks for watching this tutorial. Yes, it is the most tedious noise reduction technique that I've ever seen. It's also incredibly effective. So let me know if you have a better technique than this. Maybe there's a better way and I haven't found it. But as far as I know, this is probably the best way of removing noise that I've ever seen. So anyway, thanks for watching.